Welcome to day 3. We're at Bahamas with Bob at the Island House Invitational Triathlon. We're sponsored by Island House, Cervelo, Gatorade Endurance, official charity More Than Sport, and we're airing on Babbittville.com. My guests, Katie Zaferes, number 4 in the world, 2016 Olympian, and her wonderful husband, Tommy Zaferes, photographer to the stars and professional triathlete as well. How you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
I am wonderful. First time to the Bahamas?
Not for me.
Oh, you veteran, you.
Oh, I came on a cruise, so one time, like 10 years ago.
I'm a newbie.
You're a newbie.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool place, huh?
Oh, it's awesome. Fantastic.
Now, Katie, for you, this is a little different format than the I2 style, swim, bike, run. This is, individual time trial today. You're sitting in 11th place right now. The key is be top 10.
Yep.
Get that trip to the island. If you're 10th, you get 10 grand,
Yep.
right? At least. So take me through the day today. Did you enjoy it? Is it different? It's a relative word. Yeah.
No, I really like the format. I think it was so difficult, and definitely having the best in the world from all different realms of triathlon showed today. I finished each leg pretty happy with how I had done, and then I saw the results or heard the results, and then I was disappointed. Yeah, it was hard, but I like the format.
Yeah.
I'm excited for tomorrow.
It's fun because there's Marinda Carfrae, and there's some there's Sebastian Kienle, there's some legends of the sport, and then you got you guys from the ITU and Olympics. And is there a lot of chatting going on? So are people just meeting each other and connecting for the first time?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's been really fun meeting people. And it's funny because you feel like you know some of them. Like I met Heather Wortell and Trevor for the first time yesterday, and I was like, but we just hugged and
hugs all around.
Yeah,
yeah, because you're following each other on Facebook.
I don't know you, but I feel like I do. So it's been really fun and really nice just actually meeting people.
So as a triathlon couple, and it seems like we have a lot of those, what are the best parts about being a couple, and what are the worst parts about being a couple and doing the same thing?
Well, the best parts are definitely being able to travel together and just be together and understand each other, because a lot of times if you're in a relationship and the other person doesn't understand sport or doesn't get it, that it's a very selfish thing that you have to worry about recovery, eating, training, and not do too much stuff. So being able to have 2 of us doing the same thing, it makes it really easy to kind of empathize with each other. Yeah,
for sure. Should I take the worst?
Yes.
I think just the hardest part I find, we're together 24/7, and especially Tommy and I, we train together, live together. We don't spend any time away from each other. When we go to the grocery store, it's weird if we're not. If one of us is going and the other one's staying home or something, it's weird saying bye.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot with one person, and I don't always. He knows so much about triathlon, which is great, but sometimes I wish he knew less. And then the other part is that when I get closer to a race, I become much more closed down, kind of. I like doing things on my own. I like my own schedule. So even if I tell Tommy yesterday, I said, well, we're leaving at 2 or something, and my idea of leaving at 2 is 10 of 2. So he was all ready to go for 2, but I was ready. And
what
I'm
are you
okay,
doing?
Let's go. And I'm just standing outside the hotel room.
And then I forgot a bunch of stuff because I was rushing out.
What are you doing? Now it's actually 2. We're late.
Yeah. Whereas if you're alone, you just get up and leave when you want to.
But we've gotten good at reading each other, and another thing is okay, what is our role for each other? Okay, we're training partners, now we're friends, now we're husband and wife. Which role do we need to play at which time? And somebody's really tired, somebody's really hungry, and so I want to give her coaching advice.
Someone's tired and hungry.
Someone in the household is hungry. And so then I'll say something coachy, and she'll be like, "You're not my coach," sort of thing. And I just want a husband right now. I'm okay, you're awesome.
So, knowing that, and you guys want to live in a tiny house together, what the hell are you thinking? That's but Tiny House Nation.
Yeah.
That's something you guys are going to do together. Have you always been intrigued by these are what, 300 to 500 square feet? These are little places.
smaller than that.
Under
Are they
400
really?
square feet.
Yeah.
Under 400.
Yeah, so ours is going to be around 365 square feet. It's 8 feet wide by 28 feet long.
So it's actually like plus loft space is that much.
Yeah, so we'll have it a little bit taller, but like 9 months out of the year we're traveling and we live in hotel rooms, so it's actually going to be bigger than what we normally live in together. So,
So yeah, this will be like a mansion.
oh,
Yeah.
mansion, huge.
So have you already thought about? I'm sure you guys have thought about what you want in it and designing it, and you guys have bicycles. You got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like so I love all the like HGTV and obviously Tiny House Nation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've been watching these shows for years, and when I like first thought about it, I was like, oh, this would be perfect for us. I didn't think Tommy would be quite as supportive, but he like jumped on it. So then we just applied for
It's
the
not
show.
as much money.
And
Yeah.
and we're excited because like I know I don't want any ladders because I think I'll fall down them, so I want stairs. And then I was also, for us, we're thinking I want to go for the next quad for the Olympics.
Yes.
So we think we'll be in the house for like 5 years,
Yeah.
and that's a pretty good amount of time, maybe longer. But right after the Olympics, like we're planning on starting a family. So one of the other things we would like to do is have a room that's downstairs on the main floor.
Yeah.
That's for like a future child. So like that's part of the design that we're
Oh yeah.
adding to it. And then for bike space, I told him no, not on the inside, because that's just, I mean, 8 by
Yes.
28 is not that big. So it's trying to figure out how we're gonna put it on the outside of the house and things like that.
And where?
So.
What part of the world will you guys put this tiny house?
We're going to be in California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Up near
we'll
your
have
place.
It. Yeah, in
Santa
Santa
Cruz.
Cruz. Yeah, somewhere in Santa Cruz. And so we'll have it set there. And so when we come back, we don't have to find a place to live. We don't have to
Yes.
live in my parents' living room, which we've done. Which we're, after this race, we're going back there.
You're going
and,
back to your parents'
yeah,
living room.
so instead of paying rent somewhere and like trying to find a new place and then moving all our stuff back and forth, which we
Oh,
have to do every year, and like
Yes.
even week by week, move all your stuff that you own, like it's just a nightmare. So now we'll have an actual home to put our stuff.
So when
yeah.
someone says, "Where's your home?" we have an answer.
Santa Cruz.
There you go. Now, Tommy, you've been doing some racing. So, what in terms of your career as an athlete, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I consider myself semi-retired.
So do I.
Because I'm not. People get confused because like, oh, you said you're semi-retired, but you're still racing. I'm like, yeah, well, like I'm not fully retired. I'm still racing,
You're
but
still
just not
fit
at
and training.
Yeah,
and all
I'm
that
not
stuff.
focused. I don't make a race schedule. I don't plan on trying to do the WTS races and qualifying for worlds or anything. I basically am just training with Katie for the most part,
Right.
and then there's a couple races throughout the year that I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds
like
good.
an
But
aquathon or something.
yeah,
like
so I
that.
raced Aquathlon Worlds, I raced U.S. Nationals, I raced Pacific Grove, I raced 2 races in Australia. Actually, I didn't even know were races until the day before, and then the race director was like, "Oh yeah, you can get in." I'm like, "Okay." So I
I'm
did
in.
non-draft races on my road bike, no aero bars, like dead flat course, and I'm just like time trialing on my road bike. But yeah, so I love racing, and it's a lot more fun when there's no pressure.
Yes.
And so not making a schedule helps a lot, and so I just race when I can, where I can, and for the most part, I'll try to line it up with what Katie's doing.
Sure.
So that's the number one priority, is like training with the squad, training with Katie, making sure she has everything that she needs. And then besides that, if there's a race that I'm going for and she has a break or something, so like U.S. Sprint Nationals,
Right.
I just trained on my own for that and kind of did my own thing leading into that and had a pretty good race actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Katie, you had a besides making the Olympic team, you also won in Hamburg. You won a WTS race. That's exciting stuff. Huge crowds. We were just talking to Rachel Clommer, and she was just talking about, she was so excited to be on the podium there. I can't imagine what it felt like to win and be on the top of the podium in, like one of the most iconic races around.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing for me. It was something that I felt like I could do, so to actually be able to do it, and I was just kind of frustrated with the beginning of my year, mainly because I just didn't feel like I was racing like Katie or racing like myself. So,
What was it? Do you have any idea, or just
I don't know. I
because you
think
came
like,
off like 6 podiums last year or something like that?
Yeah, and I think just like mentally it was a bit different year. Last year was really easy because I was just going after Gwen and Sarah, and it was not really thinking too much about anything. There wasn't the Olympics then or qualifying for it. And then now this year it was like getting the qualification done. Now I was thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm being chased. Like,
Yes.
and having that feeling. So just going and swimming, biking, and running, and simplifying it again in Hamburg. Just swim, bike, run as hard as I can, and that's what I did. And I saw what I
saw what you can do,
accomplished
what you
when
can
I do
accomplish.
that. So now it's just figuring out how to make that more routine and doing it over and over again.
What was the Olympic experience like for you?
It was really awesome. I mean, that's like to qualify for the Olympics in 4 years of doing the sport. Was just really amazing. But it was also one of those things where I was like, I finished and was kind of disappointed with my result, and I was like, man, I can do so. Like if I got here in 4 years, like in 4 more years, I can do what I want to do and know I can do. So. It made me hungrier, I would say. That was like my biggest thing. I was like, well, that was a good first Olympics. Like,
well, it's so
and
hard.
I'm hoping to make a second.
When you get there, you're like, oh, it's going to be so great. I'm just going to enjoy the experience. But at the same time, you want to do well. You want to be in the podium. You want to be top 10, top 5. And and then you look at Gwen in 2012, right?
Yes, I like looking at that. I like looking at her 2 results compared.
Exactly, right? So that's the thing is you go to that first Olympics, and it's so much different than any other race you do, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel that? It was because you do WTS races every couple weeks, but here you are. All of a sudden, you're doing the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, like, for sure, you hear about how everyone says, like, people show up for the Olympics, and I knew that. I was ready for it, but then when you actually are in the race and feeling the intensity of how fit people are, and also, I mean, we do the WTS series, we have the grand final, but everyone shows up to the Olympics, and you might be missing 1 or 2 people from some of those races, and those 2 people can
change the game.
Impact the race
Nicola
big time.
Spirig.
So yeah, like she hasn't raced very much. So having her and other strong people in that front pack, like we had 4 minutes on the chase pack by the end of the bike, and there were good cyclists in that chase pack. So,
they couldn't make a dent.
So I was just, I mean, getting off that bike and trying to do a run, I kind of struggled, but that was like the biggest thing, was just seeing like, okay, this is what they mean when people are ready to go, they're ready to go, and just kind of knowing how to deal with those different pressures, I think, is something that I would like to learn how to do better, or not pay, like, or in my case, simplicity is key for me, so figuring out how to not think about it.
Tommy, how hard was that being at the Olympics as the spouse, the supporter, and doing everything that Katie needs to be done, but then once the race starts, you can't really do a thing.
Well, it's really funny because everyone assumes that like I do all kinds of stuff for Katie, but she doesn't like that. So like I'll do what I'm needed to do, but she usually says like, "It's race time. Like,
why don't you go away?
Go find something else to do." So like I'll help with like some bike stuff if she needs, but like she really doesn't need me. Like I'll be there for support, but yeah, once it's game time, like she's all
ready.
on it, and so like. I don't care what her result is, so I never get nervous. I just have fun enjoying the experience because I get to go along and I don't have to race, so there's no pain. It's just like having fun. And
you had a better Olympic experience.
Yeah, so I got to experience the Olympics, and I didn't have to race. So yeah,
that's
awesome.
pretty cool. What'd you do?
Well, actually, I didn't plan on going to see any events, but the first day that we got there, at dinner, somebody else had extra tickets to track and field, so I went and watched Usain Bolt run. So, like,
and meanwhile, Katie's in the
in
athlete
the
village.
Yeah.
Oh no, well, the great thing about USA Triathlon was they hooked us up with a great hotel leading up to the Olympics. So up to our race, where we were just across from transition, because our race was in Copacabana, and the village was about an hour or so away.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nice.
That's a good experience. And so this next year, what are your thoughts? The WTS series primarily?
Yeah, primarily WTS again, but I'd also like to dabble in a couple 70.3s just to kind of get a taste for it and feel it out a little bit, and just have next year be a little bit more flexible. But after, I mean, I finished 5th last year in the series, 4th this year in the series, so next year I just
podium.
Want to keep going up on that on those stools. So
love that. If somebody had told you 5 years ago, hey, in 2016 you're going to be an Olympic triathlete, because at that point you were just sort of dabbling, what would you have said to them?
I would have, like, when they were telling me that in the beginning, I was just like, yeah, okay. Like thinking, like, that's cool that you think that, but I know what it takes to be an Olympian. Well, I don't know what it takes,
Yeah.
but like I have this idea of what it takes to be an Olympian, and I'm not there yet. So it's pretty neat to be able to do it, and with such a strong like U.S. squad. Like I know Sarah True didn't finish as well as didn't have the race she had hoped for in the Olympics, but like her and Gwen are both
Right.
such qualified and have such great accomplishments in the sport. So to get to be at the Olympics with such a strong group was really neat.
Well, and you think about it from the U.S. perspective, especially on the women's side, between Gwen and Sarah and yourself, you had multiple times you took the whole podium.
Yeah.
You've sort of changed the perception of the Americans around the world, right? The Americans are dominating. There's more really good girls coming up.
There's more of us.
Summer Cook.
Yeah, Kirsten Casper, Renee Tomlin, and probably other people I'm missing too. So.
And Tommy, the guy side, right? We had 3 guys on the team this year. We had Joe and Greg.
Ben and Greg.
Yeah, Joe and Greg. Do you see the guys improving? Do you see, because there's a huge gap, right, between Javier Gomez and the Brownlees to where the U.S. guys are right now. Do you see a crop of guys coming up?
That's what's crazy is like it seems like the U.S. men aren't progressing because we're so far off what the podiums are, but the sport's been growing so fast, and those guys at the top are getting even better and even better every year.
Yeah.
So even though the U.S. guys are getting even better and even better, it's just they're kind of staying in the same
this
spot.
gap.
So in other countries, what they do is develop from a very young age pure triathletes. So you're swimming as hard as you can, you're biking as hard as you can, you're running as hard as you can. We don't really have too many of those programs, like really solid programs in the
Junior
U.S. to
programs,
like
yeah.
grow. So the guys that are doing really well, they came from either a swimming background or a running background, kind of learned how to bike, and so we don't really have that complete superstar triathlete.
Yes,
I'm sure it's coming up through the ranks. We had Austin Hinman won the Junior Worlds, and then we have some other junior guys coming up. So being able to have somebody that's won a world championships at a young age, having that drive, and other kids looking up to that can really progress younger kids to be involved in being a complete triathlete rather than focusing on one sport or the other.
Love it. Hey, well, best of luck getting to the island. That's the key, right?
Yeah.
10th place and getting
on a
out.
plane, not a ferry.
Not exactly. I'm not looking forward to a ferry. I don't know about boats, man. I'm not totally. Are you into boats? No.
I'm not into boats.
No.
He hates them.
My worst fear is drowning.
I like the
surprisingly.
idea of them, but then I get motion sickness.
Yeah, love that. Katie and Tommy have been our guests again. This Bahamas with Bob, Island House Invitational Triathlon. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.